should I get an RR? Should I get the cross trainer?
I can barely get a tippy toe down. Good low end, it's just a taller bike. Oh, nearly off.
All right, Al, we're back at the secret Hard Unduro test facility out here in the bush. Today we've got a ripper one for everybody. We have Al's Classic Cross Trainer 300 2024, and we've got here a 2024 Beta 300 RR, which has been donated to us for testing purposes by Beta and by Twisted Moto in Geelong. Thank you very much to Beta Australia and Twisted Moto for letting us take this beast out.
Heavily requested review, this one, to see which one people should choose.
So from a lot of the forums, we see that a lot of people ask, should I get an RR? Should I get the cross trainer? Well, today we're just going to give you our perspective in relation to that. Our riding ability as just some weekend warriors. We're not the best riders. We're not Graham Jarvis or Billy Bolt. I have sold my version of this, my KTM 300, to get, as you saw last week, Al's, same as Al's.
Really interesting review, that one. So really keen to see how this fits sort of with those two as well.
Obviously this is a very different beast, and we expect it to be very different. It already feels considerably heavier. I would say probably feels 30%, 20%, 30% heavier. And taller. And taller, even wheeling it around, you notice how much taller it is. It definitely feels a lot taller. So we will be very interesting to see what we think. What look, again, I'm suspicious that maybe for 75% of riders, the cross trainer is probably the right bike for them. And again, like we talked about, with yours, with some suspension upgrades and a pipe and a bit more performance, I think that's the sweet spot for, you know, maybe 90% of riders, if we're honest with ourselves and our abilities. So yeah, keen to see how this is, if it's really savage on us or if it's pretty rideable. But I suspect the custom cross trainer is probably the best of all three. You often see comments saying, you know, you bought a cross trainer and did a pipe and bits and pieces, and people ask, why didn't you just buy an RR? Okay, well, the price for starters, and can most people actually really handle this? We'll let you know very shortly. And we keep saying it, but the seat height and the smaller frame, it really cannot be understated, especially, you know, I'm 5'9", you're 5'11", just, it makes a difference, and it just gets you a bit more confident, not falling off it so much and enjoying a ride. So 100%. Looking forward to it. Yeah, let's get out and test this one. How scared are you having a bit of a go? I'm pretty scared. I'm pretty happy that we got rid of your KTM 300 because that thing, it's a beautiful bike, but it just, it was, you had to manage it, let's say, and I'm suspicious that's how it's going to feel with this today, but we'll be objective and we'll see how it goes. So let's get out there. Let's get cracking into it.
How you feeling up there, mate? On the
I can barely get a tippy toe down. It's going to be fun. All right. Can I only ever go on an Xtrainer again after this?
Deep breath.
Can this be the last one?
You might love it. You might sell the Xtrainer and go for the RR.
You never know. I love not being able to touch the ground though. Okay team, here we go. I am on a 2024 Beta 300 RR and I'm a little terrified right now. It's a bit twitchy on the throttle compared to the cross trainer. Straight up observations is it's a lot taller. There's a bit more between my legs. I'd actually say it feels more like a big motocross bike than a enduro bike, but that's probably a bit swayed because I've been riding the cross trainer so much. But it's actually pretty smooth on the throttle. I'm not winding it too bad. Go up to third. See how it wants to sneak along this trail. Suspension's pretty good. Bit firmer and more rebounding as you would suspect. Catch that stick every time. Yeah, this sort of stuff, no dramas. I could ride it all day. Bigger bike, nice and open. But in a minute we'll start doing some tight stuff and some downhill and see how we go. Alright, so first downhill section. Brakes feel good on this straight away, they're not grabbing. We've been very 50-50 on the betas that we tried, whether the standard brake pads were any good or not. I've changed out the brake pads on mine, but Furz kept the ones on his. But these feel pretty good. I've got good control. I'm able to go nice and slow down here. Suspension here feels a bit stiff for me. Furz's upgraded cross trainer suspension is probably the best I've felt so far. I think I probably prefer the plush standard cross trainer. This one's a little bit firm for me. Again, I do feel that little bit taller. That always makes me a bit nervous going downhill. But I got down there okay. Oop. There you go, the taller bike. I'm used to being able to get my feet down there. One of my favourite little sections here. Beautiful with the ferns. Back through our favourite little arbour. Oh, wider bars than a cross trainer. There you go. Here's another difference. Your bars aren't going to fit through narrow gaps as well. Yeah, we should do that. Alright, first uphill test for the 300 RR on sandy loam. Let's see how we go. Power feels smooth, there's a lot of power there, but I feel like I can control it. Oh, a little bit messy there, but oh, good low end, it's just a taller bike. Power's smooth. Once you get it moving, and I don't need to dab, it's pretty good there actually. It's probably better than I expected it was going to be. Oh. Yeah, power's smoother than I expected.
Wow.
Yeah, I think compared to when we rode yours, I feel like just that low end when you just crack the throttle is a bit smoother.
Yep.
So I actually controlled that pretty well.
Nice.
Yeah.
Gearing, do you reckon maybe?
Yeah, maybe with the higher gearing, that was a bit smoother too.
Yep.
But yeah, the clutch is nice and smooth. I was one finger clutch on that all the way. So I don't mind it. Obviously you just saw when I got bumped off,
Yeah, yeah.
you know, it's a lot harder to dab. And my muscle memory now is for a much shorter bike. So that looked a bit awkward.
Suspension, it's a bigger, it's a 48 mils sack. So
Yeah, I think it's too firm for me.
Yep.
Yeah, it was okay. It was obviously on that flowing section it was fine, it was great. But I think I prefer your pimped cross trainer suspension. The DFX stuff, yeah, I think that's so far the best of the three.
Yeah.
I think probably mine is a little bit too plush on the standard, but okay for my weight. But this is too firm for me. Yeah.
Cool.
All right, we'll send it up the main scramble and see how we go. All right, heading down this sandy loamy trail on the 300 RR. Once again, feels a bit tall and tippy to me. I like the shorter bike on this sort of stuff. I don't feel like I'm going to get high-sided so far when I inevitably mess up. But yeah, nice and smooth on the brakes, a little bit firm on the suspension for me. But pulls around, the wheelbase is fine. Yeah, it's a tricky little arm a bit here. I think I'm going to get off because this bike's so tall. See if I can get under it. And the bars are wider. Yep, that was a bit easier. Cross trainer definitely has an advantage through that. Alright, time for a real uphill scramble on the RR. Here we go. I'm sitting already. I'm not feeling as confident with it, but the power's there, no issues with that. Yeah, I can stay on the pegs on mine all the way up this, and I'm just getting bounced around a lot with this firmer suspension. I've got around there okay. Oh, yeah, it was hard work. I'm a bit sweaty, a bit sore, but I got up there alright. I just don't really love the height and the harder suspension for my. Oh, it's found neutral there, which is a bit weird. And once again, once we're back to these open sweeping trails, it's going to be in its element, very easy to ride. It's you know, for Furz and I, that's really not what we do most of the time. We like the real tight, twisty, slow stuff. So I'd definitely take my standard Xtrainer over this, and probably Furz pimped out Xtrainer. I just don't see why you would need something this tall and firm for the sort of riding that we do. But great to get out and actually see for ourselves what the differences are. It does love this stuff though.
Righty, so it's my turn on the 2024 300 RR. Let's see how it compares. Already feels, yeah, it's definitely we've only done 20 meters and it already feels sort of beefy down under, like it does have a hell of a lot more power feel. I mean, kind of reminds me of the 300 KTM, but with a carby. So far it feels nice and smooth. Suspension feels pretty good. Obviously the suspension's a little bit different, well, quite a bit different than the cross trainer, the 48s. Let's see how downhill feels. Noticed on Owls it was it would sort of bottom out and feel like it's gonna kick you off a little bit, but these ones feel pretty good. Could definitely use a tune, the suspension. I don't think it's sprung for my weight either. Not the greatest, but not awful. The bike feels heavier and bigger. Definitely doesn't feel as light and flitty as the as nimble as the cross trainer, that's for sure. Definitely a taller bike, which is one of the exact reasons why I sold my KTM and went for a cross trainer. Bit of an uphill section now. Oh, nearly off. Tell you what, I missed the steg pegs. Definitely a lot taller.
Isn't it? Yeah. And bigger turning circle too.
Yeah, definitely.
Which is funny because in the trailer they're exactly the same length.
Yeah, something
But
just
the
feels
geometry
different.
of the suspension must.
Well, the frame's what, 15% bigger
Yeah.
for starters. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's making me work a hell of a lot more.
Yeah, yeah.
Hell of a lot more. Making me puff. But I mean, yeah, it just sort of feels like my KTM, but just different, I suppose.
Not as much power. Do you reckon
No.
your
The
cross
cheap-
trainer's got more access to power than that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely, the cross trainer is a lot more usable power for sure.
Mm.
Whereas this is like, oh, am I gonna, am I gonna grab a fistful and, whiskey throttle it? But
Yeah.
back down. Brakes are pretty grabby on this, whereas mine on the cross trainer feel really good. L's feel grabby as well, so I don't know what's going on there. Real grabby. Whoop. Interesting crossover section there. Forgot about it. Not playing good for me. Yeah. Just like, what's that? Yeah.
Alright, Al, we've just come back from riding this beast, the 300 RR. Mixed feelings for me,
Yeah.
personally. It's very powerful.
Very.
It's a big bike. It just reminds me a lot of my KTM 300, as in the size, and it reminds me of the reasons why I got the cross trainer.
Yep.
What do you think, initially?
Well, what was most noticeable was I went out on it first and then went onto my cross trainer, and the jump back was so exaggerated. I was so much more comfortable, and yes, it's my bike and I'm used to it,
Yep.
but the power was smooth. I could move the throttle more without it being too sensitive. And when we were coming up the last scramble, when I need to dab and all those things, it just is where I want it to be. yes, this thing has a bit more height and a bit more clearance, but for the sort of riding that we do, for the sort of riding that most of you do, I've not missed any clearance on the cross trainer. No. We do plenty of log hops and little step overs and stuff, so I just felt it was too tall and tippy for me, and I was pretty uncomfortable on it.
Yeah, well, as you saw me coming up that hill, I munged it up a couple of times real bad. It's pretty unlike me. Yeah, I think this bike, it's an exceptional bike. It's a great bike if you want to go fast, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
For single, really tight flowing, even like hard enduro stuff, for me it just felt a bit heavy, a bit, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of bike there. I think unless you're tall, like probably comfortably over 6 foot,
yeah,
and you're a good rider, that the bike is just more than you need. And you know, we keep saying it while we're doing this channel generally based around the cross trainers, is because for 90% of people, it's pretty much the right bike to be on.
Yeah.
And you know, we've had your one out, which is bridging the gap with some custom parts and some suspension upgrades.
I definitely think that if people are talking about getting this bike, you really want to know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And have ridden like the 300s, like, you know, the KTMs,
yeah,
the Betas, Sherco 300s in this size. They're 100% capable. It's just the rider, I think.
Yeah, and yeah, for our Enduro followers, I just feel that that's unnecessary. We're both buggered at the moment. We've even had to strip half our gear off because we worked so hard trying to get that up the hill here. And just getting out on the cross trainers, I've just been enjoying the ride. I get back and I'm not really fatigued. I don't think I've kicked my cross trainer once, and I didn't kick this bike today, but we've both kicked plenty of bikes in the past when we're dropping them downhill and in ruts and things like that. So
I think for desert racing or like faster flowing single track or four-wheel drive tracks and that sort of thing, that'll thump. That'd be absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, well, caveat to that, with my slight body weight, I was getting bucked around when we were flowing through that open trail. So again, weight dependent, but that was just too firm for me. Going down steep hills, it was okay. But yeah, just sprung too hard for me.
I like that suspension on this, the 48s, I think they are. Obviously, because I'm heavier, so it's going to be a lot better for me going down this steep hill here, which you can't really tell on camera. It was quite good for me. The suspension on this, the front brakes on these are grabby as well. I think I just got Goldilocks brakes on mine because mine is just absolutely
very lucky.
Perfect.
Yeah. I think we've sort of been about 50-50 with the Betas, whether we've liked the standard brakes or not.
Yeah.
So.
I don't know. This, you could probably maybe gear it down or tune it down if you really wanted to. I don't know. I'm not really.
Yeah. Look, if you're considering both, just be objective about it. Take it at cross trainer out for a test ride. Get on a friend's one. I think you'd be surprised if you haven't been on one before.
Absolutely.
How much more suitable they probably are for you.
Especially the price difference. Like,
yeah.
I can't remember off the top of my head, but I'll put the prices up here. Katie, for the cross trainer and the RR, and you can just see.
And with you've spent a couple of grand getting your pimped out cross trainer, still cheaper than the other premium enduro bikes. Right. So I would much rather have spent a couple of $1,000s on a cross trainer and just have it absolutely suited for what I need.
I can see why the cross trainer, I believe, is Beta's highest selling bike at the moment. It's just can be really soft, or it can be, you know, really quite a angry, violent bike if you like that sort of thing. So as for me, I'm super happy with what I've got. I've still got to learn my bike, but like you just said, I hopped back on mine after riding this, and I'm just like, oh, so comfortable on the cross trainer.
I think that gut feeling when you get back on it tells us we're both very happy with owning cross trainers.
Pushing it around, like physically pushing it and moving it. I don't know why, but this big bike feels a lot heavier.
Yeah, I mean, we rode those for years, the comparative bikes, but not anymore.
But anyway.
Can you believe, mate? There's a racing version of the RR.
Yeah,
We might have to try one day, but I think I'd be pretty damn scared getting on the racing version. So you'd have to be a weapon of a rider to get the most out of a RR racing.
From what I've heard, a lot of people will go the racing and regret it and probably go back to this. A bit of an ego sort of thing, thinking that the racing version sounds like a good idea, where I'd kill myself on it and probably race somebody else.
Definitely. we both could have done some damage on that today, but you know, we're both saying no regrets with our cross trainers. We've got two very different versions of the cross trainer now, so it's been really fun doing some of these head-to-head series.
Yeah. It'd be good to know, you guys, if you let us know if you've got one or the other, or you've gone from one to the other. If you've even just ridden a mate's and what you really think about it. If you want to know about my mods, modifications, just hit me up in the comments, and we might go through a little bit more of that another time. But yeah.
Yeah, I think this, we're really enjoying testing different bikes. So if you want to see something tested either against a Beta or a cross trainer, let us know. Again.
Oh, you're going to start?
Oh, are you going to do it?
Yeah, I'll do it.
Yeah. All right.
Did you do the last one? Sorry.